So I want to tell you a little story. Once upon a time, I used to work at an assisted living facility. This was right after graduate school. I graduated with a master's degree in art therapy and actually had lots of experience with adolescents. And that's kind of my population that I really like to work with. But I got a job after college at an assisted living. It's not really my population, it's not my favorite, but I got a job on the recreation department, and it was fascinating. It's really interesting and really interesting to notice how unhappy some people were and how happy some people were. And these are mostly elderly people with some cognitive decline in some cases, physical issues, and lots of things going on. And some of them were just really, really happy, and some of them were just really, really unhappy. Not really because of anything in particular. They were just, it was like their disposition was either super happy and lovely and everything was great and they were glad for everything, or they were miserable about everything, no matter what happened or what was going on or what the situation. And it just made me wonder if there's a point where we kind of solidify our our attitude, almost, where we just stay, right? We've developed a pattern or a habit over the course of our life where we are glad about things, or we're discontent all the time, just discontented, always unhappy, or nothing's ever good enough. And I think it seemed like it got entrenched at some point. And I kind of took that as a lesson for myself. Just, okay, by the time I get to this age or this age, time I'm elderly or I need to be cared for, I want to be happy. I want to have, if I'm going to entrench something, it's going to be happiness, right? So we can start now. It's not too late for any of us to just check our pattern. Are we in a habit of discontentment where all we do is pick out what's wrong and what we're unhappy about and complain and whine and just want things to be different or better all the time? I would say in my first marriage, so here I was married, this is actually the time I was working at the assisted living facility. Also, I was married to a drinking alcoholic, and I was unhappy about that. I was unhappy with his drinking. I was unhappy with the way things were going, and I would blame it all on that. And I would say I was discontented with him in some respects. And what I realized, well, I found Al-Anon, which helped me to realize that I was unhappy because I was considering him the source of my happiness. I was waiting for him to change so I could be happy. I was thinking part of his job was to make me happy or to act a certain way or be a certain way. And so I realized that it's my job to make me happy. I realized that it's not the outside world or other people that are going to give me something, but that I have to find it within myself. And I turned the focus toward myself, and that changed everything. So it didn't change the situation. He was still a drinking alcoholic, but I was happy. And I also then could see the good things about him and about our marriage and enjoy and appreciate what was there and what was good, which I had glossed over because, everything was wrong. And I kind of, you sort of spread that out, you generalize. everything's crap, or right, or everything's good. And that's, I think, where the elderly people were that I worked with. It's like everything was crap or everything was good. So we can notice our patterns now. And if we bring our attention back to ourselves, so not the outside world going to give us happiness or unhappiness, or someone else needing to change, but us needing to make a change, because everything can change even while it looks the same on the outside. Our experience of it can change, and that's on us. That comes from the inside. I think sometimes we focus on the outside, on other people, or what we think needs to change, as a distraction, actually, as a way to dodge actually looking at ourselves and actually working on ourselves, when that's our core work here in the Earth School, is to see what is being brought up for us to heal, see what lessons are being presented by the Earth School. So it's not about what everyone else is doing or not doing, or what they're giving us or not giving us, but what's being presented, what's the challenge? Are we accepting that mission or not accepting that mission to heal or see what's being presented right now? In 12-step groups, they call it an AFGO, another effing growth opportunity. Everything's AFGO, another effing growth opportunity. So the AFGOs come along all the time, and we are accepting them. We have to look at them, and we have to look at what we can learn right now, what we can heal right now. So if you look at everything that way, everybody's acting perfectly, right? Everything is a potential AFGO. So no matter how they're being, they are helping us in that, as long as we accept that challenge, right? As long as we take it on. There's something else that we can notice as far as our patterns, and that's if we complain as a habit. We probably all know people who complain just as a way of being, or maybe it is you, maybe it's me, maybe, so just notice that. My friends and I have this understanding. If we call each other up and want to vent or want to complain, maybe about our husband or something else, right? We'll take a complaint, and then that's it, like once. So we'll allow one complaining session, and then, okay, what can you do for yourself? What do you want to do about it? What do you need to look at? Whatever. So we kind of get to work instead of complaining. My friend Riva says, don't build your case. So complaining and continuing to complain, it's like building a case. Like are you going to court with this? Like, what are you trying to establish? Yeah. So you can recognize when you're doing that, right? When you're building your case. You can do something about it if you want to, and if it's within your power, right? You can leave her. I left that relationship. I'm married to a different guy now. You do have choices in many situations. Something that you can change your attitude. You can change the situation in some cases, right? So it doesn't mean don't do anything about it. I mean, if you get the wrong order in a restaurant, you can send it back, right? You can still take action, rather than sitting there and eating it and complaining about it. Just say, this is wrong, or this is what I wanted, and send it back. So it doesn't mean just being a doormat to accept how everyone is and what's happening, but it means accepting what is, and then seeing with wisdom, what can you do? How can you change within yourself? What can you learn? Or how can you take yourself out of a situation if that's possible, if that's the option, if that's what you want to do. It's really just owning your power. It's owning your power to change what you can change, which often is ourselves. But sometimes you can adjust and leave a situation. You can leave a job. You can, you can make different decisions. So another thing that I think adds to discontent is not accepting ourselves, not accepting the whole of ourselves, really how we are. And how that relates to other people is that what really bothers us about other people is often what we're not accepting in ourselves. So what really bothers us in other people is often what we're not accepting within ourselves. Just check it out, try it. Think about what is it that really bothers you about someone that you're having a problem with right now. If you can kind of identify what really irks you about them, or what's really bothering you, they don't do this or they do that, just turn that around on yourself and see how am I like that, or can I be like that, or how have I been like that in the past, and accept that and forgive yourself for that. Just have compassion for yourself. It's often the things that we want to completely deny or cut off about ourselves, when we all have the capacity for everything. Maybe it's a way that you were when you were younger and you've grown wiser, but maybe that person is not there yet. Maybe it's just an impulse that you have, you don't act on it, but you get that that's within you. So once we accept ourselves and have compassion that we're not perfect either, and that we have all that capacity, we are kinder to other people. We are able to accept other people for how they are and who they are. And again, that doesn't mean we need to spend time with them or be married to them or anything like that. It just means we will be more at peace seeing what others are doing when we realize, yes, I have that capacity. Another way to do a turnaround is to turn the complaint around to yourself. So if you're complaining about someone like, my husband doesn't listen to me, what if you turn that around and considered, I don't listen to me? Okay, that's interesting. How can I listen to myself more? If really what you're craving is being listened to, how can I listen to myself? How can I give myself what I need? That's just an example, but whatever that complaint is, just see if you turn it back on yourself, if that gives you some wisdom. Again, you're just taking the responsibility, right? Taking your power back. The other habit, I think that's part of discontent, is being completely attuned to what's wrong. I'm a very critical person. I'm detail oriented. I'm critical, which can be good or bad, right? Critical is not necessarily a bad skill to have, but to be critical means that I see all things. So I can pick out everything wrong about any situation, any place, my home, my marriage, my husband, whatever my life situation. I could list all the things that are wrong. Why would I want that to be my focus? Maybe I do see something I want to do something about. Great. You're not going to hear about it for the next year because I'm going to take care of it. But instead of focusing on what's wrong and continually seeing that, thinking about that, talking about that, whatever, we can also attune to what's good. I'm critical. I can tell you all the amazing things about my life, all the wonderful things about my husband, all the amazing things about my house and my new floor that's going in and whatever. So attuning to the good is something we can develop. It takes some practice. When I turned 30, my best friend gave me a gratitude journal, Sarah Bombrennick's gratitude journal, which is cool. It just has 5 spots for 5 things to be grateful for every day. And in the beginning, there are like 150, maybe it's even more than that, often overlooked blessings. So that if you can't think of anything that day, you can like look at her list and see if you can grab a couple of ideas from there. And it's just a way of developing a habit. I think that's for a whole year. I don't even think it takes a year. If you try to do it for a month, if you need to change your attunement from the negative, if you're critical, especially like me, and you want to change from the negative to what's positive, that's really good practice. And I think 30 days even is a good amount of time to then get that ball rolling where you're seeing the good more and focusing on the good more and just making sure that that's included. Another way to do that is 29 Gifts. Cammie Walker wrote a book called 29 Gifts, which was about her journey after getting very ill with MS, and a nun that she was friends with said to stop focusing on her illness and everything she doesn't have and all the problems, and give 29 gifts in 29 days. Just do that, because that focuses on what you have and what you have to give, and abundance appears because you're now attuned to it. Just the same thing, a way of just attuning to something different. They don't have to be monetary gifts or gifts that she bought. It could be a phone call to someone she hadn't spoken to in a long time, who she knew would be happy to hear from her, or a note, or a smile, if you intentionally are going to give that. So yeah, attuning to the good. So the couple of things, I'm just going to kind of go over what I talked about already. Focusing on yourself will change discontentment. So rather than thinking that you need something from others or from the outside world, doing that for yourself, giving that to yourself, deciding that it's your job, not someone else's job. Doing that turnaround. So if you're wanting something from someone else, can it be you? Can you be the one to save yourself or give it to yourself? Put a ban or a limit on complaining. Accept yourself. Accept that you have that capacity to be whatever it is that is bothering you about other people, especially groups of people, the world, whatever, people that you don't know, people that you know. And then attuning to the good by writing gratitude or giving gifts for a short period of time. Just see if you can like have a focus, like this is my practice for the next month, is to attune to the good with some practice. The last thing is to actually know who you are, is to actually realize what the yogis would call the true self, to realize the spiritual being that you are, to realize that you are a spiritual being having this human experience. Eckhart Tolle wrote in Stillness Speaks, he wrote, "You find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level." You find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level. And he goes on after that sentence to say, who you are beyond your mind-made sense of self, who you are beyond your thoughts, your feelings, your story about your problems, right? Who you are, that's always here, that's always steady. I always say it's who you were when you were 5. There's something that's still here, right? That was here yesterday, that was here when you were a kid. That awareness of yourself that's come through all your years. That's why we don't feel, when we say, I don't feel different, I don't feel older, I don't feel like I'm whatever age you are now. In the body, perhaps, but you don't feel different. You still feel like you. That you that is and was and will be and will continue to be, that's your true self. That's who you truly are. And when you get a hold of that, you find a source of peace. That has no opinion. That does not judge. That just is. And it is love, and it is acceptance, and it is peace and contentment. It's the serenity that the serenity prayer talks about. It's the peace that passeth all understanding that the Bible talks about. So when you get a hold of that, everything kind of filters through that. It's like seeing from your heart. It's like you go through your heart and then you see. And everybody's not so bad then. Some people still annoy me, but in general, it's not so bad, and I can come back to that place more readily, more easily. And how you do that? How do you do that? How do you get a hold of that? How do you realize who you are at the deepest level, as Eckhart Tolle said? I find meditation to be helpful. I find just thinking about that awareness that I know I was, that I still am, to be helpful. So we'll do a meditation where we just drop our story and drop into the present moment. And you can do that anytime, just dropping your story. It's just like letting go of the suitcases for a moment about your problems and what you have to do and what's going wrong, and being here and realizing that all is well. And then the more you practice that, the more you are able to bring that into everyday life. The more you get a hold of it, you'll be able to still be aware of that as you interact with other people and as you see the rest of the world. And also, it's just the more you practice, that doesn't need to be like half an hour every day or twice a day or anything. Just even if it's just a moment every day where you kind of like are centering at the beginning of this, where you feel what's present for you, you're giving that awareness time to reveal itself. It's like being really still and really quiet, like you're trying to get a scared little animal to come towards you. Like you're trying to attract a chipmunk or something cute. If you think chipmunks are cute. Yeah, it's like just being still and inviting that to wake up. Yogis would say to wake up. Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, he would meditate and say, reveal thyself, into himself. Reveal thyself, like come on, like come out, come to the surface. So we'll do a short meditation, and we'll drop the story. We'll feel below the head, below the neck. We'll center in the heart. That's a good place to just bring your awareness and see what's here without all that. Okay. So go ahead and get comfortable. Seated is good. I think seated is better than lying down so that you don't fall asleep. We'll just take a short meditative moment. Helps to start by focusing on the breath. Noticing the breath flowing in and flowing out through the nose. You might even hear in your mind the words breathing in, breathing out. And then bring your awareness down below the head, below the neck, into your heart center, into the center of the chest. Just focus there and feel whatever is present, allowing it, whatever it is, if it's a sensation, even if it's a tightness or a heaviness, maybe it's nothingness. Be really interested, be really aware of what's there, and then give it space to be there. Like you can open up the walls around that space and the floor and the ceiling. Just really letting it expand if it wants to expand. Not trying to make it do anything, but just being aware of the energy at the heart. If the mind grabs your attention and drags you down the stream of thinking, just notice, oh, I got caught in that stream of thinking again, and go back into the awareness at the heart and let it expand as big as it can be, and then feel. So it's less thinking, more feeling. And accept everything as part of this awareness that you feel right now. So sounds and smells and whatever's happening around you. Maybe there are other people, sounds outside. It's all fine. It's all actually part of this energy that you can be aware of. So notice who you are, what you are beneath your thinking. And as you're feeling, allow your eyes to open if they're closed, but keep feeling. So notice how you can keep a hold of the feeling of your energy, even as you see the outside world, as you see other people. And that energy, that awareness will always be there, and it will always be steady. So as things happen and people upset your boat at the surface, there is this depth where you are content. There's no problem there. So see if you can see everything today down through that, from here to here, and then deal with it. It might be a little bit easier.